What a great year it's been for alternative and heavy music. Today we're going to be going through my top 10 records of 2024. Now, before we get into this, I just want to say this is by no means a comprehensive or definitive list. There was so much great music this year that I just wasn't able to get to for one reason or another. It's just impossible to keep up with all the music releases when you have a full-time job as well as doing YouTube. So there's probably some stuff that I should have on here that I just wasn't able to get to. And this is also my personal opinions. I'm by no means saying that these are the definitive, objective, best albums of 2024, but these are the ones that I enjoyed the most. These are the ones that had the most impact on me personally. With all that being said, there's just so much great music. I had a hard time making this list, but we gotta start somewhere, so let's start at number 10. At number 10, we've got Era and their album Cure. This is the record that finally made me a fan of the band Era. In the past, I was kind of off-put by their just incredible technical musicianship. I don't know, that sounds kind of weird, but I just couldn't get into it. It just seemed a little overly showy, and I like things that are a little more groove-based, a little more vibes-based, and I really, really appreciated that this record kind of slowed it down a little bit and focused more on the rhythms and the grooves and the vibes of these tracks. Some of the riffs on here are really, really, really great, and we haven't lost that technicality. It's just a little bit slowed down and a little more groovy on this record. I also really enjoyed JT's vocals on this a lot more than I have in the past. I don't know if that's him changing or me, but whatever it is, we've kind of come around, and I'm really enjoying his voice as well as the clean sections that he brought on this record. I really, really hope we get more of that in the future. Just some really great cleans from JT, as well as the incredibly reliable and amazing cleans from Jesse. This record just brings a lot of vocals that I really, really enjoy, and a whole package that really made me a fan of this band. Next up at number 9, we've got Bloom with Maybe in Another Life. I was really, really looking forward to this one. I remember I checked out one of their singles last year, or maybe 2 years ago now, and I really, really was blown away by the kind of throwback metalcore sound that they were bringing. At the time, there just weren't a lot of bands that were scratching that itch for me, and they've kind of brought that into this record with a little bit of a kind of more heavy metalcore edge rather than a post-hardcore thing. Think like Dying Wish or like See You Space Cowboy, that kind of thing, that kind of revival core stuff. This sound is so up my alley. If you guys know me at all, you know that I love that kind of throwback, old school 2000s sound. This album is just full of that stuff. Really, really great organic riffs. Not a lot of like super atmospheric stuff on here, but just really, really fantastic guitar tones and really emphatic, passionate, emotive vocals. This record really, really impressed me, and I'm really looking forward to what's to come next for this band. At number 8, we've got Inertia with Second Shadow. This is another debut album that really, really impressed me this year. This is kind of the modern metalcore counterpart to their last record we checked out. A very young band, really, really promising, but with a more modern spin on this sound. It's kind of everything I love about modern metalcore. Tons and tons of atmosphere, really, really beautiful, soaring, clean vocals, and really great harshes as well. This record is really, really fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, I really suggest that you do. This one slipped under the radar for a lot of people, and I hope that we can get some more eyes on this one. At number 7, we've got Alpha Wolf with Half Living Things. This one was a start to finish rager. there was almost no letting up in this entire record. There's maybe one song in the middle and one song at the end where we get a little bit of a reprieve from the insanity. But overall, this is an Alpha Wolf record. It's wild. It's feral. It's so much fun. These guys are not treading in any kind of new and experimental territory on this record. They're doing what they do best, and that's crazy riffs, wild sounds, and just the most pissed off vocals you've ever heard from Lockie. They do bring a little bit of innovation on this record, specifically in the vocals category. I hear some lows from Lockie on this one that I've never heard before, and they break out into some cleans on this one, which is really, really cool. They've done that in the past with features before, but I don't think they've ever had a member of the band doing clean vocals. That happens 2 or 3 times throughout this record, which is really, really fun. The first half of the record is very, very traditional Alpha Wolf. It's kind of bouncy and playful, and we get this kind of mood reset at about the halfway point of the record with Whenever You're Ready. It's kind of a more mellow and somber song. And the back half of this record just gets absolutely nutty. We get some levels of heaviness from Alpha Wolf that we've not heard before, a little bit more just serious and dark tones from the band, and some really, really gnarly breakdowns. Some stuff that I just absolutely blew me away. Then we wrap up the record with a really beautiful, mellow song to kind of round everything out. At number 6, we've got Bring Me the Horizon with their very anticipated album, Posthuman Next Gen. It took them 4 years to get this album out, and man, I have so many strange feelings about this one. On the one hand, I feel like this record was made for me. I feel like I was the person who they crafted this for. It's a love letter to the 2000s and that kind of retro emo screamo sound that I love so much. All the songs are so much fun, so catchy, great melodies, and they so perfectly capture that energy, that 2000s energy. But then on the other hand, there's this kind of hyper pop element that's supposed to be kind of futuristic and very like forward thinking, and in 2024 that sound just isn't around anymore. We don't really hear hyper pop that much. It's kind of a relic of the past couple of years, and if this album had come out in 2020 or 2021 when they had planned it to come out, this would have been absolutely groundbreaking. But in 2024 that sound is a little bit played out, a little bit dated, honestly. It just kind of gives me kind of a weird taste for this album to be kind of positioning itself as this kind of like futuristic emo sound, where we're getting this super niche style of alternative music that we heard like 2 or 3 years ago. And it's also held back by kind of this overindulgence in lore and storytelling that is just absolutely unnecessary to the enjoyment of the music. I mean, it's really cool that they're doing all this ARG stuff with websites and pop-up shops and lore in the notes of the lyrics and stuff like that, but every single song has like a weird little speaking intro or outro with reversed vocals and some kind of deep lore, and they're mixed into the actual songs themselves. There's no like delineating lines between the lore and the songs themselves, so you can't take these songs out and put them into a playlist and enjoy them as a song on its own. It's infuriating because I love these songs. They're so good, but they're just kind of like mucked up with all this gobbledygook that I just don't need. I have so many weird feelings about this one, but overall, I really enjoyed the music. I thought it was so much fun, and I'm really looking forward to what Bring Me the Horizon does next. I just hope it doesn't take another 4 years. At number 5, we've got Linkin Park with From Zero. This album had maybe the biggest shoes of all time to fill, and an absolutely impossible task. How do you bring back a band that's been on hiatus for 7 years because of the death of one of the most iconic vocalists in all of alternative and metal music? It's almost impossible, and yet somehow they did it. This album is a love letter to fans and kind of a proving ground for their new singer, Emily. Not only does every single track feature sounds from all the best Linkin Park records and eras, but Emily throughout this record is providing her resume. She's saying, hey, I can do it. I can sing these songs. I can sing the Linkin Park sound and bring my own flavor to it. She's not replacing Chester. The band is just moving forward in a new way with a new face, alongside a lot of the original members. I really enjoyed the ways that they called back to classic records on this album, and I think this was a really safe and smart move for the band. I think the only thing it was missing is that trademark Linkin Park experimentation. Now that I've gone through all of their main records, one of the things that people bring up time and time again is that Linkin Park is a band that evolves and changes and experiments. And this record felt very, very safe. It kind of called back to a lot of nostalgia. And, there were some moments that felt very modern and fresh. But I'm most looking forward to what they have to say next, now that they've proven that they are still Linkin Park. At number 4, we've got Better Lovers and their record Highly Irresponsible. This is the most chaotic record I heard all year. This band is just so wild. It's a supergroup formed from the ashes of Every Time I Die, with one of the most iconic vocalists in all of mathcore at the helm. They absolutely deliver on the promise of those members and those names. It's just so good. Every single moment of this record is 100% energy at all times. It's just craziness from start to finish. Riffs on riffs on riffs. So much dissonance and craziness. And Greg's vocals on top of all that, just providing another level of manic insanity. It's so much fun. Yet they still manage to find moments to surprise and delight with little moments of respite here and there. Very, very brief. Little bits of clean singing and things like that. Overall, this record is just so densely packed and so incredibly tightly written. I had to rate it really, really high. At number 3, we've got Knocked Loose with You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To. This album is one of the heaviest things I've ever heard, period. Now, I know we've checked out some pretty gnarly stuff, Lorna Shore and Viljarta and other kinds of deathcore and thal craziness, but there's just something about this record. I'm not saying it's definitively the heaviest thing ever. It just affected me in a way that was incredibly heavy. The thunderous nature of those guitars and drums and just grimy bass and Brian's vocals, it just had this effect of like a black hole or a neutron star just pulling my atoms apart piece by piece. It just felt like I was being pummeled from start to finish with this record. There was no respite, and they've kind of defined this new sound with the guitar tones that they created in this record, and I'm already seeing bands start to copy that sound. The guitars don't play chords so much as they thunder. Every single strum is just a punch in the face because it's perfectly synced up with the drums, and it's just so many layers of multi-tracking and fuzzy, maxed out distortion. It's an absolutely wild ride. It's so crazy that Knocked Loose has gotten this popular to be on Jimmy Kimmel and not sacrificed 1 inch of their core identity and their heaviness. I really, really commend them for that. This record is an absolute achievement. And that's why it's at number 3. At number 2, we've got Alt with From the New World. And now this is one that I really, really regret not checking out in a reaction video with you guys. Alto's just one of those bands that I kept seeing over and over and over again in my suggestions and in other reactors thumbnails, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to them. I'll get to them someday. And I just never did. But boy, did I mess up with this one. I checked this one out literally a few days ago as I was cooking dinner because I knew that I had to check this one out for this list because everyone was talking about it, and oh my gosh, it lived up to the hype. This record is everything I love about modern metalcore and the kind of like alternative genre as a whole taken to new heights. It combines some of my favorite sounds from like Architects to Invent Animate and combines them together with crazy Thal sounds from like Viljarta and just absolutely breathtaking atmosphere, and comes up with something that sounds familiar and fresh at the same time. The riffs are absolutely deliciously groovy, and I think the thing that really did it for me was the vocals. This vocalist is just so brazen in his confidence. He is bringing so many techniques that are not native to modern metalcore. We're kind of used to a certain sound these days. You got your sing screams, you got your soaring beautiful cleans, you got some highs and some mids, and maybe a low here and there, but he is bringing stuff from a different world. He's bringing sounds from deathcore into metalcore in a way that doesn't sound show-off-ish or that he's just trying to like shoehorn it in. It sounds right for the song. And every single track on this thing is packed with so many different vocal techniques and surprising moments. I was absolutely delighted by the vocals from start to finish. I loved how much that cool sing-screaming thing, very kind of Sam Carter-esque that we got, and also the moments where we got beautiful soaring cleans as well. I loved that just as much. Man, I really messed up not checking this one out with you guys. As soon as they start announcing anything new, we're going to be on it, and maybe we'll even go back and check out their 2 original EPs while we're at it. This record is just breathtaking, and I'm so glad that I didn't leave it behind to 2024. And at number 1, we've got Make Them Suffer with their new self-titled record, Make Them Suffer. This album just put a smile on my face that never went away. Every time I go back to this one, I'm reminded why I put this at number 1. It's so much fun. It's everything I love about the genre packed into a really tight package. It's so many of the sounds that I've come to love throughout the years from modern metalcore. Perfected. It's like the electronics that I love from Northlane taken to another level. It's the riffs that I like now from Era taken to another level with so much groove and so much attitude. It's just not fair to other bands. I mean, they have 2 vocalists that are world class. The combination of Alex and Sean is just unmatched. The fact that they can go back and forth with cleans and harsh vocals, throwing these lines at you like a barrage, is just so magical. I love how rhythmically rich this record is as well. There's so much groove in the guitars, the drums, and the vocals. Sean's placement of his vocal deliveries over these rhythms is so complex and so unexpected at times, and it's absolutely delightful. And those vocals are delivered with such passion and fieriness that I just can't help but smile. A lot of people criticize this record for kind of being derivative of itself. There's recycled riffs throughout the record. There's moments that repeat and stuff. I don't see it that way. I see it as motifs. When John Williams writes Star Wars, you don't say, hey, he already used that riff before in the Skywalker theme. No, it's a reference. they're using these riffs as references to call back to earlier times in the record. It's one big composition throughout, and they really thought of this thing as a record and not just a collection of singles. And I also appreciate the different flavor of influences that we got from this album. A lot of bands these days are taking from a kind of R&B space with their clean vocals, brought on by Bad Omens, of course. You know, they're one of the biggest bands that did this kind of R&B, sexy core kind of thing. But this band does not do that. They have some great cleans on this one, but it's going in more of a grunge, 90s alternative direction, and boy, is it refreshing. I'm starting to get tired of the kind of baddie core kind of thing. And I'm really, really interested to see bands taking things in a different direction and taking different influences that I haven't heard in like this kind of glossy modern sound. And I think bringing in some kind of Alice in Chains and Radiohead influence is really, really refreshing. And I really appreciated on the back half of this record how much different tones and variety we got. My only worry with this record is that they've so thoroughly explored this sound that they've exhausted it, and the next record is either going to be a rehashing of it or a complete 180 turn into something that I am just not ready for. But whatever it is, I'm really looking forward to it because they have absolutely blown me away and proved that they are here to stay. They have reinvented themselves for the new era with a new vocalist, and boy, did they bring it with this record. Well, there you have it. That is my top 10 albums of 2024. I just want to say a humongous thank you to every single one of you who stuck it out this year with me. It has been a rough one. We had so many great releases in the springtime, and then boy, that summer, it was dry. It was drying up, and boy, was I feeling the desperation. I was starting to think that I was done on YouTube. And man, it has really, really turned around in these past couple of months. I've been having so much fun. That's all because of you guys. Next year is going to be even better. I'm already looking forward to so much of the fantastic new music that we're going to be checking out, as well as some of the really great throwback records that we're going to be working our way through. I've got so many awesome things planned for next year. And I just can't thank you guys enough for enabling me to do this. It's just been an absolute blast, and it's been a dream of mine for a long, long time. So I'm glad that I'm finally getting to do this with all of you. Let me know what your guys' top records of the year are. I would really love to hear those in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite albums of 2024 were. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. It really, really helps out the channel. Join our Discord server as well. It's a cool place to hang out, talk about music and art and other kind of cool creative stuff. Just a great community, and we'd love to see you there. I don't plug this one often, but I figured I'd throw it in here. I have a Patreon as well. Every album reaction that's a kind of a throwback thing goes up on there a few days early, as well as every single blocked video goes immediately to Patreon before I can even figure out what to do with it on YouTube. And it's also just a great place if you just want to support what I do here. It really enables me to experiment and do some more fun things, and as it grows, it's going to just fund the expansion of the production here and enable me to do more creative and awesome things. And I really, really appreciate every single person who signed up for it so far. It really, really means a lot. 2024 was an absolute whirlwind in so many ways, both musically and personally. I'm really looking forward to 2025 and experiencing all the great music with you guys by my side. So here's to the new year. That's going to do it for me today. See you in the next one.